created it. It was like a sandbar that they
Right.
built up. They hired a bunch of black people to come on the island and build all the houses, the
Why
infrastructure.
black people?
All I know is there was a lot of black people doing the building. They finished it, and then the island held a big party for the black people on the end of the island to celebrate, and then they torched all their houses.
What?
And forced them off the island. Yeah, that's the history of Palm Beach.
They torched their houses?
Torched the houses.
After they were done building the mansion?
Yes. Do you know the history of Palm Beach?
No.
They created it. It was like a sandbar that they
Right.
built up. They hired a bunch of black people to come on the island and build all the houses, the
Why
infrastructure.
black people?
All I know is there was a lot of black people doing the building. They finished it, and then the island held a big party for the black people on the end of the island to celebrate, and then they torched all their houses.
What?
And forced them off the island. Yeah, that's the history of Palm Beach.
They torched their houses?
Torched the houses.
After they were done building the mansion?
Yes. Do you know the history of Palm Beach?
No.
They created it. It was like a sandbar that they
Right.
built up. They hired a bunch of black people to come on the island and build all the houses, the
Why
infrastructure.
black people?
All I know is there was a lot of black people doing the building. They finished it, and then the island held a big party for the black people on the end of the island to celebrate, and then they torched all their houses.
All right, man. What this guy's talking about in Palm Beach, it's called the sticks. They used to call it the Palm Beach. They called it the sticks. Okay, it's like in the early 1900s. So that's a true story. They try to, to act like it's different or something else happened. No. Mm-mm. And what I'm about to say has to not just to do with the sticks, but this is a normal thing when it comes to black people in real estate in America. Black people in land in America, this is a normal thing. So in the 1900s, 1910s, there's a lot of riots, race riots in America. From like the 1910s, 1900s to the 60s, really. But 60s is civil rights parts, but there was a lot of part of segregation, part of Jim Crow. Black people, y'all be over here, white people be over here. And what would happen is, there were some of our folks were doing pretty good for ourselves, and the thought was give them janky land, put them over there on the janky land, in the janky places, and let them pick themselves up by the bootstraps, and people were able to build stuff, whether it be homes, infrastructure, communities. And what would happen is basically white people would get upset. How y'all got this? Race riot, burn it down. White woman said he touched her, burn it down. Shootouts, murder town. So think about it, that's Florida. That's you talking about Rosewood. That's Rosewood is in Florida. So they made their movie about Rosewood. But there's so many other stories like that. See, like the story of Central Park in New York. It was a black community. They kicked the black folks out. Rosewood, Florida. What he's talking about is in Miami. Let me, Springfield, Illinois, Chicago, Thibodaux, Louisiana, a bunch of places out here in Texas, Arkansas, Omaha, but from the Midwest to the East Coast, this was going on. Now I'm going to, because it's too many towns to name, but it was like 1900s, and up. Really, Reconstruction and up. So if y'all look at the map of all the towns, the black towns, right? Y'all gonna learn something. They were normally not too far from major cities, right? So when y'all think, why black folks live in the city, that's what happened. Black folks, we build our own places in our own communities. White people would hate us. you know, bomb them, burn them, shoot them out, just straight just run people out of town. That was a normal thing. Um, so people wind up being in country towns and and just moving closer and closer to the city. So now if you want to take our stuff, you're gonna have to shoot up the city, burn down the city, and there were moments like that in the cities. You get what I'm saying? There were moments like that in the cities. Like, okay, be riots and shootouts, yada yada yada. Now, a lot of y'all don't want to deal with this concept, but there are so many families in America who are living, who has generational wealth or generational land that really ain't yours. You stole it. It was already stolen, quote unquote, from the natives. But after that, people built their own things and people stole the land. And I can talk about this because I found, um, this happened to my great grandparents. You know, when I met my great grandmother, my great grandfather was already dead. Uh, but my great grandmother was living in the projects. And that was when I was a child. And when I became an adult in my 20s, I found out why. After she had passed, my great grandfather and her own land, um, cattle, oil on the land, oil rig. When my great grandfather died, it ain't nothing to laugh at. Um, the white people ran out of town she had to run out of town because the white people in the town was trying to kill her so they could just kill her and take the land. So she ran to the city. You get what I'm saying? So it's people on that land. Oh, my family, y'all can burn in hell. That's how all y'all generations. Fuck all y'all. Hey, it's fucked up. I gotta say it like that. I feel a certain way. It's like, you shouldn't be like that. But hey, fuck y'all. Um, but I'm not the only person like this. Like I could say the other part about real estate. When people think about the military and how many people were veterans and the VA loans and all that, and the black veterans couldn't get them. Both my granddads was in the military. Um, one of them, his that granddad family had a bunch of businesses, so it didn't affect him like that. My other grandfather, um, he was one of them people raised in the Depression, so he had to drop out of school like at 5, 6 years old, something like that. Either 5, 6, or second grade. It's something like that. But but that was a common thing to find work to help the family, right? He went to the Korean War. He was a Korean War vet, and then just like a lot of black people, a lot of vets, they came back and they couldn't get a home loan. And what happened was, white guys saw it was a great business proposition. Well, I can get the loan. People like to do the story like, oh man, these nice white people, they was like, I can get the loan for you because they won't give it to you, but I just give you just pay me, and we pay off the house, and then I can give it to you. Yeah, that in real life, that's not how that worked. In real life, most of the time, that happened. The black people paid off the house. The white people say, "Oh, I told you, if you chip the fence, this voids the contract. I told you if somebody banged on the door too hard, it voids the contract." So what happened was people would pay these houses off and get shipped out. And white people kept them, and then people go, "Oh, in my family, we have this home and that home, and we were in real estate. Y'all were scam artists." So, and when people go, "Hey, man, what happened in this country? Why don't people have this and that? Some of y'all know good and goddamn well, I didn't know how did granddad get all of this stuff working the job he worked? He was white and Jim Crow. He was stealing that shit from black people. It's not, how did we get to this land and we were here? Probably was because okay, there are a lot of towns, like a lot of suburban towns that are out of the city. Go look into the history, especially in the South. Go look into the history of these nice neighborhoods. There was either land from a country black family that they stole and just ran the fuck off, and now years later we live in a nice subdivision, or somebody owned a farm. Who knows if they got it the right way or not? You get what I'm saying? And if it was a white family, then they did proper business with them, right? That type of stuff. Um, and 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 people go, that's not true. Oh, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. I did a story about that recently, where in Austin, Texas, a lady, her grandmother passed her down the house, and some white dude who's a developer just went to the county clerk or whatever for some documents and built houses on the land. And she come back like, what the fuck is this? And he, oh well, my bad. This is a normal process. This has been going on for since quote unquote emancipation. So, matter of fact, that's what was going on. That's going on with the Gullah Geechee people, some of the Gullah Geechee people in South Carolina now. Because what happened was people would go, man, we don't, you know, it's no nice way to say this. White people are ruin what they got, and they give stuff, and then they say they gave stuff to black people, or they'll quote unquote give us the crumbs of the stuff that they think nobody wants, and people will make good of it, and then all of a sudden, oh, we gotta get that, we gotta steal that from them. They don't know what to do with that. They aren't civilized people. No, man, you just fucked up everything you had, and I can say this because in New Orleans it was the same thing. Like they had a race ride in Thibodeau. Thibodeau is just like on the outskirts of New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? It's no difference. It's no difference. Um, but in New Orleans during Jim Crow, um, I don't forgot where it got. I just forgot the damn neighborhood. Wendell Pierce talks about it all the time because he grew up there. But I have family that lives there too, because it was like the black side of town. You blacks go over here, so they got stores, golf course, all stuff over there. And what happened was, and I don't know why y'all do this sometimes, black folks. White people found out that black people had bigger homes than them, and because back in the day, like in New Orleans, you can't, it's kind of like it's like shotgun houses, so they kind of straight. So they not kind of, they are straight. So sometimes with some of the ways the houses are built, it looks small from the front, but when you get in it, you go, God damn. So what happened was, black people were trades. We did a lot of trades. So back, especially in New Orleans, people would do foundation work, masonry, so bricklayers and whatnot, roofing, electrical work, plumbing. People was doing the sheetrock. So people were trading off services. So so that's how brothers was, like black folks was building houses, because we were helping each other. You know, um, so the houses were built better. Wood floors, all kinds of stuff. So somehow, you befriended with some white people or whatever. They came to the house and they found out their house is bigger than mine. So now we got a beef. And that happened. I know that happened in Chicago too. You know, so a lot of what's going on a lot of times when people look at these places and towns, and this is what went on, and that goes to people starting over and over and over again. Black people, because of real estate theft and racism and all that, and people, we have to start over multiple times. So when people go, oh, this is the family house, sometimes ain't no family house, because people just decide, hey man, I'm gonna just build this right here. So what? And it's like, oh, okay, all right. But and the crazy part, I ain't even gonna tell you what happens to white people at the end of the story. I'm gonna let them keep figuring that out because they don't end well for them. But this is nothing new. This is actually normal. You get what I'm saying? Like, before I go, you gotta understand something. Slaves built the White House. Did they get to live in it? There you go. But it's for the president. Shut up. Most of those plantations that was built, you know, a lot of the buildings that's still standing in the Midwest, yep, yeah, that was black folks. People play the immigrants built immigrants built New York after all of the foundation labor was worked. Then immigrants came and they helped build New York today. But don't think New York is the rest of the United States, because it don't work like that. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, share, subscribe. Tell me what y'all think. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.